Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome for the first time if you are new. My name is Ella and I'm going to be running through my A-level further maths and maths folders in this video. So although you might not be doing further maths, I've kind of squished those two together because I use pretty much the same organisation in both subjects, so I just thought, you know, two for the price of one really. And I know that my school has taught me like this specific way of organising, but I found it really useful so far. I'm like 2 months into sixth form, so I thought I'd share it because now is the best time to organise yourself before it gets too late further down in the year and you've got pieces of paper literally everywhere. If you start organising it now, then you're going to thank yourself later. So hopefully this can help some of you out. So basically the way I do it is I have I've got with me here my two little school folders. So these are like the tiny, like the not tiny, but the smallest folders you can really get. So I don't take huge ring binders into school. I try and keep it as small as possible. Seeing that I'm doing 4 A-levels and one of them is art, so I have a massive sketchbook to lug around, I don't want to be lugging around 3 ring binders as well. So I'm keeping compact with a little folder each, and I've watched some videos before, like organisation tips, and they've had just one folder they take into school which has like all 3 subjects or all 4 subjects if they do 4. But for me, I'm like, my school likes us to have things separate, so I would love to have one folder for, you know, everything, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I have one for each subject. So yeah, I try and keep them as small as possible, and these ones are from W.H. Smith. So this is, the camera's going to make them really, really pale, but this is pastel blue and this is pastel purple. Pretty similar, but they're from W.H. Smith and they were on like 3 for the price of 2 when I went to go get them. So I don't know whether the deal's still on, because it was several months ago, but they were pretty good and I had a voucher as well, so, you know. So far they've lasted me really well, and I like this as well because it keeps everything compact and doesn't start, you know, opening randomly, and none of them have broken on me yet, and I've bought several, so as in for each subject. Never had to replace one yet, which is great. So I'll start with my maths folder, and basically I'm just going to run through the different different parts to my folder and then explain what I do with the rest of the stuff, because I actually have a day folder, as in the ones I take into school, these little ones, then I have bigger ones at home, and I'll explain that in a bit. So when you open my folder, the first thing you'll see is my notepad, and right now it's pretty thin. Basically these notepads I've got off Amazon because I literally couldn't find, I like my ring binders, like the spiral bound or whatever it's called. So I've got squared paper, and so I've got some work in here. Squared paper, and it's basically perforated so I can just rip it out when I need to, and it's already punched so that when I'm in class and say I want to start decluttering my notepad, I can just rip it out and put it straight in my folder. I don't need to wait for a hole punch. So that's great. Now after that piece of just the tick sheet for my teacher, I have, before anything else, some checklists, and on these checklists, and I'll probably put a picture to the side, they basically, I've gone through my textbook and I've written down every single exercise that's in each textbook I have for maths. So I have, so far in this folder, I've got year 1, so just pure maths, and then stats and mechanics year 1. So those are the 2 checklists I have right now. And I know this might seem like a bit of a time waste, but actually it's helping me a lot with organisation. So I've basically separated it into chapters, and every single time I've put a bullet point for each checklist, each exercise. Once I've fully completed that exercise, I'll cross it off, and then once I've done all of them in the chapter plus the mixed exercise at the end, I'll cross off the chapter, and there we go, I know I've done everything. So that helps me when I come to the end of a chapter to make sure that I know I understand everything. I'll look and see if I've missed out an exercise, and if I have, I'll go and do that before I know I completely finish that chapter. And although it sounds like a pain, like writing down every single exercise, it literally took me like half an hour to do both of these checklists, and that's not bad considering how, you know, there's 2 pages there. So yeah, if you want to be on track, or you want to basically know that you know everything in the textbook, there's probably a good place to start. After that, you can see dividers come into play. So these are just paper dividers that I had hanging around my house. I don't know why, we have an entire box, as in, you know, the big deep boxes of plastic wallets and dividers. I don't know why. Basically, these are paper dividers, and if you have the choice between paper and plastic, please go for plastic, because it is a lot more economical, I suppose, in the long run, because although they might be a bit more expensive to start with, these paper ones rip easily, so I've already had to go through quite a few. But this they help you just divide your work, because obviously you're going to end up having a lot of sheets of paper in here. You want to just be able to flick to whatever you want to go to. See here that the first thing of, other than these bits that I put in the front, is the scheme of work. This is basically where my teacher printed out, all the teachers in the maths department printed out the lesson plan. For me, it helps when I'm revising. So the coloured blocks that you see, or the grey blocks, are basically tests, and then the black one is a review test. And the review test is where we get tested on literally everything that we've done that year, and so I can easily look back and see what we've done. Next one is objective list. So this, again, my school printed out for me, but this one is more readily available because it's just the specification, really. So for these couple of pages are basically everything I'll need to know for the maths course. And although I haven't started using it yet, whoopsies, along the side there's a column called self-assessment. So I know the specification won't look like this when you go to print it out, but it can be really helpful to know that, say if you're really panicking because you don't know exactly if you know everything, go through this, and if you can tick everything off, then congratulations, you know everything. And if you can't, then you know the points that you need to start learning. Once again, you won't be able to see this because of the ring light being really bright, but I'll put an image here of what my notes can look like for maths. I can actually make a separate video on how I make notes for maths if you want to see that, but for now, basically I do a page per chapter and just condense the stuff as much as I can. So every page here is a new chapter that we've completely gone through. Once we've finished a chapter, I'll make this notes as like a refresh, because I might have forgotten some of the stuff at the start. This is one of the things that I use to revise my tests, because I find them really, really useful. The next part is exercises. So this is where I put all of my classwork and any, extra work. Basically, any working out or any work in general, I will put in this section here, so exercises. And you'll see down the side, I think, they're really, really pale. But they are paper dividers, basically. So they're little plastic, acetate, basically sticky notes. And you can get them from literally anywhere, like Coleman's, Wilco, wherever you want to go. And on the side I've just got the chapter name or number. And that just helps me because I've got two different teachers, they teach two different things. So I've got 2 lessons with one teacher where we'll go through the stats or pure, and then I've got 2 lessons with another where we'll go through mechanics or pure. So they both I think I'm doing chapter 6 with one teacher and chapter 11 with another. So I need to have them separate. And the only exercises I have in these are ones that I haven't been tested on yet. I'll explain what I do with the rest of them later. But basically here I've got chapter 5, 6, 10 and 11. They're all of the ones I have in here, and we've done a lot more than that so far. So these are just ones that are either still in progress, as in still being taught, or I haven't been tested on them yet. So the next section is tests. So after all my classwork and my notes, I've just got a section for all the tests I've done so far. Pretty self-explanatory. I just hole punch them and put them in here. In the next section, again, our school printed these out for us, but they're pretty self-explanatory. Basically, with these tests, we pick out from each one question that we found really difficult and make a worksheet on it. So I've got the question here, and then when I go back to revise, I'll put my working out here, and then on the back I've got the solution. Sorry, I'm covering my logo again. Even if your school doesn't make these, they're really straightforward. You literally just need a piece of paper. Then we've just got a space for homework. So these are just all the homeworks that I've done so far. I think I will, if it starts taking up too much space, I will start moving them into my separate folder. At the front I've got my checklist that my teacher basically ticks when I've done it every week. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory again. And then at the back I've just got some spare dividers in case either a friend needs one, suddenly I need a new section in my folder, or one of these rips, because that is very, very likely. Also at the back, these are the last few things. I've basically just got some spare Polly Pockets, and they are basically things that I need to hole punch and then file into their little pieces. So yeah, that was our maths folder. And I'll just quickly go through my further maths, but it's pretty much the same, except from I have a like different sections for each piece. I don't know why, but basically our maths teachers, like normal maths teachers, wanted us to organise it one way, and then our further maths was a bit more relaxed, so I just organised it how I wanted. So once again, I've got a notepad at the front, a little bit more paper left in that one, thankfully. And the first page again is the qualification at a glance, and I've put washi tape around the rings of this because it's already ripped several times because it's at the front. So this is just a specification, and then I've highlighted, because with further maths there's so many different choices. So there's got like further pure, further stats, further mechanics, D1, further stats 2, all of that kind of stuff. I've just highlighted the ones that I'm doing. So this is where further maths slightly differs to normal maths. I've basically got for each thing. So this is core pure to start with. I've got the specification here for core pure, and then my exercises. Within this, instead of having a separate section for notes and exercises, I've got it in like pure maths, D1 and mechanics, just because otherwise I'd run out of dividers. So at the front of my exercises part, I've got my checklist for the exercises, then I've got my notes pages, and then we go into, that's another notes page, then we go into the exercises where I've got my tags for the chapters. My teacher actually wanted us to divide it into year 1 and year 2, so I've just got that in year 1, and then I've got a separate divider for year 2. So when it comes to year 2, this, like the year 1 will just have the notes paper, and then year 2 is where I'll start putting my exercises. Right now that's empty. Now we're on to the further mechanics specification. You'll see a pattern there, just the spec there, nice and short. Then the further mechanics notes. What's actually happening here is there's like one sheet in here, because we have to learn normal mechanics before we learn further mechanics. So all the normal mechanics is in my normal maths folder, so that I don't get confused. And also sometimes we learn normal mechanics in normal maths and in further maths. This is really confusing right now. So sometimes my normal maths class is learning stuff that I've already learned in further maths, and I just want to make sure that I know what I've done and what I haven't done. So I've got all of my exercises in my maths folder, so that if my teacher starts teaching a subject that I've already done, I can go back in my folder and be like, right, I've done all of those exercises, so I'll just go and do my own stuff, which my teacher's fine with that. But once again, that's pretty empty. Now we're on to decision math specification, again a pattern forming here, and then decision maths, like work and stuff. So I've got the checklist for my exercises, then the notes, and then there's my exercises. So I've got chapter 2 and chapter 3 in there because I haven't been tested on them yet. And then the last tag is, oh no, not the last tag, is homework. So unless the homework's hole punched, I'll put it in this Polly Pocket that I've got in this section. And then once again at the back, I've got tests. So there we go, all of my tests. And then once again, a spare divider and a few spare Polly Pockets at the end. So both of them follow a similar structure. I've got like the specification at the front, then my notes and exercises, and at the back, tests and homework. Pretty self-explanatory. You don't want to be putting too many dividers in. Obviously I've used less than a pack in each one, because if you've got too many dividers, it'll just like start spreading too thinly, and you might feel a bit overwhelmed looking at that. So those are the two folders I take in when I have further maths lessons, or I want to do some, or further maths or maths lessons, or I want to do some maths at school. At home, I keep these larger folders, more folders from WH Smith. I really like the curved ones. That looks blue. Right, this is bright purple. That's how great my camera is. And this is grey. These are, I would say ring binders, but they're not. So in WH Smith, they've got like the 3 different types. They've got the small ones, which I've shown you there, these middle ones, and then the ring, like the lever arch files with the gaps in the side. Really, I was really tempted to get the lever arch ones because they were pastel coloured. They didn't do pastels in this size, but right now I don't need them, and I don't think I will need them for a while. So yeah, for now I've got these middle-sized ones just because, for space reasons, I only have a small amount of space to put all my folders in. So you saw in my maths and further maths folders that I've got a very small amount of stuff in the exercises, and I said I only keep the stuff in those folders that are actually necessary to what I'm learning. Once we've finished a chapter and then I've been tested on it, I get rid of those exercises and move them into these folders, so I don't throw anything away, but they all get moved into here. Here I've just basically taken these straight out of my folder and put them in here. I've kept the tags on the side. What I've added in is these larger tags. So I've got one that says Core Pure Year 1 and one that says Decision Maths, because they're the only 2 exercises that I need to put into here. Once I get further mechanics, I'll put that into there, and then Core Pure Year 2. You get the gist. So basically anything that I don't need anymore, it goes in here. And you can see that there's actually quite a lot of paper. So if I were to keep that in my folder, it'd just be A, burst in its banks, and B, a lot heavier than it is now. So for the purpose of saving my shoulders when I'm walking to school with my heavy bag every morning, I keep these folders at home because obviously I don't need them at school. I'm not learning that subject anymore. And then again, this is normal maths, so slightly more full because we've done more stuff, and it's my mechanics stuff that I'm doing in further maths, but technically it's normal maths. So once again, all the chapters down the side, and then at the top, pure maths, stats and mechanics. So that's how I organise my maths and further maths folders for A-level. The holiday coming up is a perfect opportunity to start getting organised, because before you get too much work, I know I've got a lot of work there, but that is literally just scratching the surface in terms of A-levels. So I'm trying to keep my folders as lightweight as possible, trying to keep as much stuff at home, just to help me with my mindset. If I'm at school and I've got huge folders full of stuff, I'm going to feel a lot more overwhelmed than if I've just got this small folder with just the stuff that's necessary, and then all the rest of it's at home where I don't need to look at it every day. If you like this video and found it useful, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. I'm literally just about to film how I organise my English Lit folders. If you want to get yourself organised for English Lit as well, then please stay tuned. That'll be coming up very soon. And I will see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Almost missed that out then. God. We're very near to 100 subscribers. I'm so excited for that. And I hope you like my festive background. We've got like this really, really long stocking and then this really tiny one that's got like a cow in it. But I think they're festive, and I put my Christmas lights on for this. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!